We're back, folks. A little bit later than intended, but we're here nonetheless. By a little bit, I mean around half an hour. Our valiant soldier, the Oracle of Wrestling, has fallen on the battlefield. At one point, it got so dramatic that Bob just yelled, "He's gone! He's gone!" Which concerned Alex and I very much. But nonetheless, we will battle through the best we can. Grin Grappler, the Big Show Paul Wight. A very different entry awaits us here. This is I believe this completes a full year for us because next month is March, which is where we started with Joe. So we're going the whole, and I think we're starting in, or we're closing, I guess I should say, in pretty unique fashion. But even with our Oracle, we do have our expert panel as always. Bobby Two Shoes, how are you, mate?
I'm doing well, Joe. Excited to talk about the Big Show. How are you doing?
Very, very good. Anyone wondering why it was so incredibly formal from Bob, it should be noted that I informed him without Oracle. Bob's going to have to handle the ball a little bit. We're going to have to run some plays. Alex and I got some stuff out of sleeve, so we'll see how that goes. Alex, how are you, mate?
Well, glad to be back. Interesting discussion at our feet this evening, and there's 32 days before WrestleMania. I didn't realize until I saw the graphic. I have my hotel and my ticket to WrestleMania. That's about all I have planned right now for that weekend. So I need to figure out what the fuck else is going on. I understand there's a super card of honor that's going down that weekend. And yeah, in between that, I'm going to Disney. So I got a loaded month coming up. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. Interesting allegation here from Ben who says Bob tweeting about Ring of Honor has ended the Oracle of Wrestling.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't kill the promotion this time, so got that going for us.
I've heard that. I've heard that Tony has to lose a lot of money before that happens, Bob, is what I'm told. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm told. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know, through the grapevine.
That's true.
Folks, last month, and I've said it a million times, and I've never been a stranger putting myself over and putting us over. But this show's a hoot every month. But last month was special, right? I guess we did it this month, but the January episode was very, very special. And I think it's fair to say that while I very much enjoy and admire the Big Show Paul Wight, I don't know if it's going to be quite as emotional a journey as I don't expect to cry at any point. Bob might, I don't. But man, have we got an interesting lineup. We got a fight for each foot. He often did. A fight for each foot. We've got 7 matches ahead of us. But firstly, let's start this journey as we usually do. Let's kind of track our own fandoms. Now, I don't know where we're at on this. Genuinely, I have no idea on where you guys are in terms of your own personal history of show and what you felt about him through the years. I know everyone has kind of gone up and down on him along the way. Bobby, I'll start with you because I know a lot of shows' career has taken place at kind of the heights of your fandom. So, Big Show, your experience with, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Like, I thought I first maybe saw him in one of the video games, but he wasn't in SmackDown 2. So it wasn't there. It must have just been when I started watching in 2002 then. And he was immediately around the title scene. By the end of the year, we'll talk about one of the matches in 2002. So it's here's this big guy who has definitely a unique look. They present him in such a way where he's obviously a big deal, even compared to the other big guys like Kane or Undertaker. So it's he's cool. And I've kind of been back and forth on him. I mean, he was there for 20 years or whatever. That's only natural. But overall, I enjoyed him. I think we picked a really good collection of matches, especially the WWE ones that kind of show his real highs. But yeah, I guess I've always been a fan. He seems like a really good dude too, which is nice. Yeah.
Not often that one can say about a professional wrestler, I like their work, and it is enhanced by the fact they seem like a good person. Very seldom do we get to play that card in this game, but we're doing it. It's often the other way around, but nonetheless. Alex, what about you, man? Where's your experience with show, the ups, the downs? Where are you at?
I was going to call bullshit on Bob there, but I just looked up the SmackDown 2 roster, and he is not on it. He is on SmackDown 1, so that must have been when they sent him to OVW to get better, and they're like, get skinny and learn how to wrestle, and we're not going to be paying you fucking royalties in the meantime. Because, he was on WrestleMania 2000. Those were the parallels. SmackDown and WrestleMania 2000, then No Mercy and SmackDown 2. He was on WrestleMania 2000, but he wasn't in No Mercy, but you could make him. They had a face skin and his gear and his shirt that said Big Nasty Bastard. My childhood friend Ben Malenfant famously thought the shirt said Big Nasty Mustard. So we would say that all the time when Big Show was on TV. I mean, I'm the elder here, so I remember when he showed up in WCW. I believed in most wrestling until I was about 12. But even still, there was stuff that would poke through. I'd be like, no, that's not real. And like, I remember when he debuted in '95, and they're like, it's Andre the Giant's son. I'm like, no, he isn't. Like, he's not French. Like, what? I remember just like that immediate thing that was so stupid. And, like WWE at that time, WWF, and I've been inundated, had like, Shawn Michaels to me was the coolest guy in the world. And then you would turn over and the Giant's driving a monster truck and like laughing maniacally. I'm like, this shit is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But then the NWO came around and the Big Show, or the Giant at the time, immediately joined. He was the fifth guy.
Yeah, I think.
Ted DiBiase.
Ted came with him, right? In a weird way, I guess they came as sort of. I can't remember.
Yeah, something like he's the one that brokered the deal because
Yeah.
Trillionaire Ted, that type of thing. Greetings, Oracle. We look forward to it. Yeah, so like I knew him as the Giant, and then of course I wasn't on like the sheets or anything. So when he showed up in WWF, like that was an immediate surprise to me. And then he overnight became a non-factor there for like a year. And truth be told, like by like 05, like he had like go away heat with me, and I was just kind of like. I did not really enjoy watching him that much, but then he did have a resurgence in the early, like when he basically from the Mayweather match on. I'm not going to say everything was quality output, but like he clearly came back for that match, and like the run that followed, he was like he had lost a lot of weight, and he had like a newfound kind of motivation, and I think it carried with him because he did have some good matches through. When did he stop being a full-time wrestler? 17.
Yeah, around there. Yeah. I think by 16 he'd slowed down a lot on that front. I remember because 15 he was still very much going, right? Because him and Kane were like the heavy lifters of the sort of the hillside, which is hilarious, and that resulted in the Rumble and all that came with it. I think by 2016 he'd began to slow because 2017 is when he works Braun, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, he's basically just coming back to wrestle Braun and get the shit kicked out of him, and then he would come back again.
And he's one of those guys though that like I mentioned, I had no time for him during my peak ROH TNA. This is wrestling phase, but he's someone that every time I went to a show he was at, you knew exactly why he had a job. He would come out and some little kid would go, whoa. And he was an impressive visual to see. And man, just peaks and valleys is this guy's career. And I think we're covering that pretty well in the listing we have coming.
Yeah, he's fascinating, man. I genuinely think he's one of the most interesting wrestlers of this, like, I guess era's too kind of weaker term for it. He's been around forever. But the reason I say that is I remember vividly on his famed podcast, 83 Weeks, sponsored by the 31 with Robert O'Neill, Eric Bischoff said that, he was talking about why it didn't work out with Paul Wight and the Giant. I'll read this out in a moment, folks. For those of you who can feel free to read it. He was talking about why it didn't work out with Paul Wight as the Giant in WCW. And Bischoff kind of concluded, he said, did it ever work out? And Conrad, was kind of enraged at this. And I get why your instinctual reaction to such a thing is like, of course it worked. He was a big star. But I don't think it was as crazy a comment as people did initially. And I think when you kind of thought about it, it was like, he is such a unique candidate in that you could argue he never came close to his potential, but he still had a great career and became a mega name. The Big Show is genuinely famous, man. People know who Show is. But yeah, well, there you go. But I mean, I think, you can really argue kind of he never quite reached the heights he could. Oracle in the chat says, I never liked Big Show until his comeback in 08. The Floyd feud was fun at the time, but I remember liking the Taker feud in the fall of 2008. I enjoyed him from then on, which I think kind of correlates what you were saying, Alex, right? He definitely came back in a better place for that Floyd program and beyond after leaving in December 06 after the ECW pay-per-view, right? I think he came back after that, so...
Out of fear of not forgetting to circle back to it, that point you just kind of expressed, do you think he may have been someone who was more like a product of people's expectations? We're going to be there's some shoot fighters coming up, so Joe and I are going to be talking about some shooters here. So I think Jerry Cooney is like a good analogy of like someone who was just like a product of expectation who didn't pan out. It wasn't necessarily their fault. I think. That's the whole story. Like, according to Hogan, he saw this guy and he's like, there's money there, brother. He'll figure out how to do a few moves and then we'll get him in the ring and I'll pin him, dude. That's all that matters. And so like, I think, he's clearly a guy that if you watch his progression from what he learned on the fly, man. He learned in the ring.
Yeah.
And so I think he also, I'm already kind of getting deep into this, but it's true. He was still right it was right at that end of that era where if you're a big guy, it immediately means you're going to make money in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And so people just assumed he was going to be like this drawing card. And the fact that he never became Andre or someone like that, that's not necessarily his fault. He just came in right as like things were dramatically shifting in what people wanted from wrestlers.
To your point about him learning on the fly, I mean, Hogan and Show have talked about this publicly, and Show's a very good interview. So if you ever get a chance to watch him in like long form, he's really worth watching in that regard. But he talks about working Hogan at Havoc, and he would go out and he'd fly out to Hogan's spot, and they would sit together and they would just kind of chill on the beach. And Hogan was like, "Okay, get up," and he would say, "Lock up with me," and they're on the beach just. And Hogan said, just do whatever I tell you to. So he would say, like strangle me, and Show would fucking. So when you watch those matches through that lens, it's like you can see it's. I mean, look, Hogan had no interest in having a good match with the Giant. He simply thought it would be money, right? So that was his approach. But
he saw a power slam, a leg drop, and a 1-2-3.
Exactly. So as they went further, I think Show's talked a lot about Savage being a guy who really helped him. Savage obviously was a meticulous agent in terms of matches, right? So I think you kind of watch that develop. But to your other point, the era element is always important to note in these kind of conversations, because when Show came in, we were on the last dying legs of like simple pro wrestling of yesteryear, and it wasn't really working anymore, right? Like 1990, exactly right. 1995 is the industry trying to hold on to what was before it's about to get shaken up into West. And I think Show is maybe, and again, this is an insane conversation to have considering the money he's made and the career he's had. Honestly, for a big man, the matches he's had a really strong career, but it feels like he was maybe in the worst era possible to maximize his star power, which is, to me anyway, is a compliment to him that he got as far as it, because I feel like once upon a time, man, he'd have been a mega attraction, But
he also got to the worst possible booker for him for the majority of his career, and like. We'll get to that at the end, but Vince McMahon did that guy zero favors. Mm-hmm. Besides paying him a lot of money for 20 years.
Yeah. Right. Well, it was always interesting because he would fail to make him serious enough that he should be the giant kind of threat that he should be. But yet he would always be present enough. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. He would be present enough that he would be overexposed. It was like he would always sort of middle him in that way. It was again, really interesting, and it's going to kind of bleed over, folks, as we go through the matches themselves. But yeah, I kind of sense this is where we would go here. It's like, and let me begin. I want to stress one more time, like, this isn't just us being like what could have been, because the guy had a serious career. I mean, he was relevant, man, in wrestling for like 20 years. He's a legend in his own right. It's just he's interested to ponder what could have been, even with that kind of truth being undeniable. So we'll see as we go here, folks. We have 7 matches. Why do we have 7 matches, Bob? Because it's a fight for each foot. Am I right, Bobby?
Sure is.
It is indeed. All right. The way we've done this here, folks, is basically Act 2 was a dilemma. Because I know, Alex, you wanted the garden match, right? You wanted the sprint with Brock. I remember that being a thing you brought up. I wanted the Flair bloodbath, because of course I did. And the Oracle of Wrestling wanted the Floyd match. So basically, as we often do around here, we just simply bent the format accordingly and came up with a gimmick to work around it, making it seem like it was the plan all along. So the way we've done this is Act 1 is the 90s, Act 2 is the 2000s, and Act 3 is the 2010s. It really progresses as we go, I think. Like, Show's performance climbs as we go, which is really, really cool. I can't remember a time where that was the case. In fact, a lot of the times it kind of goes, it's a lot more uneven than that. So let's get into it. Act 1, we kind of talked about Show's early days in WCW in 1995. Havoc wins the world title in his first match. Is brand new as a top guy. The NWO changes things. And then here we get to Bash at the Beach 97, where the Giant is opposite Hogan, who has Dennis Rodman alongside him. Giant is teamed with Luger here, which was a pairing that kind of defined a lot of that time, actually, for WCW. Firstly, Bob, was you aware this match existed?
Not specifically. Like, I knew Rodman had a few matches there, but yeah, I couldn't name like specifics, so...
This is a truly insane match, right? Yeah. Like, it's a shame WCW weren't big on the match graphic, because we could get a lot of content out of those, brother. I mean, this is an incredible piece of work right here. Much to get into. Firstly, Speaking of shoot fighting, Michael Buffer here is on the MC gig. And
dude, what the fuck is he going on about here, dude?
I guess the deal was, this has always been my read on it. They were paying him so much that I guess they felt he needed to have like extended dialogue to make it worth their while. So he's like, he's going on.
He's
for
as
like
bad
5
as he
minutes.
wants to be.
He's going on for so long, man. It was insane, his intro. But
I did love
He
called it he called the torture rack the rack of doom.
Yes, he also called Show. He called him the man they call Giant. Just rather just call him the Giant. Which fair. So much here, brother. So much.
Yeah, Joe. Sorry, I just like to get this out of the way. I think 4 weeks before this, Rodman was one of the star players on the team that won the fucking championship.
Yep.
Like,
Yes.
Can you imagine something like this happening today? Like,
Insane.
and they get Bad Bunny is a massive star. Like, I'm not like downplaying any of the people that they've got to partake in recent years, but like, the problem is Hogan and Bischoff have made up all these insane stories that are clearly not true about putting this match together and shit. So you really don't know what the real story is. But on paper, this is just ridiculous. Like a real, true world champion, like sports figure.
Yeah.
That weeks that it's like if someone won the World Series, or like if fucking Patrick Mahomes did a match at WrestleMania this year. Like that, it's similar in vein to that. So I knew they won that year, but like my timelines weren't matched up. I was like, the trophy was still warm, dude. It was just like pressed.
Yep.
It's insane that they pulled this off.
And it's not just he was on the championship team. It's like he was a major part of one of the most iconic teams ever. Like they weren't just a team that won the championship, right? They're in the middle of a fucking freebie. Like that is the team. That's the quintessential like a championship team in NBA history. Here he is. Hogan on the latest A&E documentary claims that Phil Jackson called him, specifically Hogan, and said, "Where's Rodman?" He said, "He doesn't want to come back, brother."
Yeah.
Which for some reason felt to believe that. Bob, do you have any confirmation on that? Or
I think what Hogan was talking about was when Rodman went to Vegas during the finals, and Hogan was not there. They talked about that in The Last Dance, where he just, but he was not there. They were not in season while he was wrestling. So
Hogan watched it and was like, "Well, I guess I should have been there." Just pretend. Tremendous. Okay, Alex, I'm gonna pass to you because I know this is saying that on Twitter you made it clear you need to take this one. The opening portion here. I mean, we have a little Hogan Luger wrestling. Hogan actually works the mat for like 15 seconds, which popped me. And then it's time Rodman comes in and away we go. Go ahead, mate.
You get Grapple Fuck Terry showing up there at the very beginning. It's a good, like, pretty structural match, and it's like 20 minutes long. It's a real match, but first of all, the card for this, if you've never seen Bash at the Beach 97, it is like one of the peak WCW cards. I'm not saying necessarily it's one of their best shows, but just like you got Piper versus Flair on it. The Steiners against Great Muta and Chono, Jericho, Ultimo Dragon, Mortis and Wrath, and Glacier and Ernest Miller, the Mortal Kombat shit. But anyway, Bob always finds ways to make me feel older and older. I remember watching this live as a kid and not grasping the weight of it at the time, like of how like big this was. Certain things I miss about this. I miss photographers at ringside at wrestling shows. That always made it feel like, if you watch it now, feel more like a sporting event. But yeah, it's unfortunately the Giant is the most forgettable part of this match, and he's who we're talking about. But up at this point into his career, this was the biggest match he was a part of. It is obvious here that Luger is white hot. And, he would win the belt in the next month on Nitro from Hogan. And it's like, it's obvious why. But yeah, dude, the beginning of this, the lockup where Rodman gets in the ring, locks up, and nails an arm drag. Like the place, the reaction that gets is like the babyface winning the world title by modern equivalents. Like you see tie-dye guy like leap out of his seat, like jumping up and down and pumping his arms. Savage gets on the apron doing like the oh yeah, and it's so simple, but also like that's such a great moment because it's like, what is this celebrity gonna do? And he gets in there and he collar and elbows and arm drags like the former world champion wrestler. And Luger, of course, just brilliantly sells it like he's surprised, so they lock back up, and then Lex the Dragon Luger in this. There's that sequence where he's just arm dragging everybody in sight, man. He's throwing them all around, and you can still create this if you got like the right sports figure in there and they took it kind of
Right.
careful and whatnot. But for the time, that's such like an iconic celebrity involvement in wrestling, and just the way it's followed up is also just such great performance with the heels. Like Rodman's acting like it's no big deal, but Savage and Hogan basically jump in the ring and pour the Gatorade on him after doing one arm drag. They're just, oh yeah, that type of thing. But what else do I have down here? Rodman, yeah, impressive. Joe, did you like the cutaway to Andrew Galata in the crowd?
I did. It amazed me, man. I didn't realize he was that level of fame. Incredible.
That would have been the same year he got his fight against Lennox Lewis and got fucking destroyed. For those of y'all who are unfamiliar, just Google Andrew Galata versus Riddick Bowe. You want to talk about some heat, brother? They caused a riot at Madison Square Garden.
Hell of an angle.
It's at some point in the match I wrote down one of Dusty's calls. I think it's when Rodman does the leapfrog and then like the drop down tackle, and Dusty goes, "Somebody call the law! Somebody call the law!" One of the biggest shockers of this that I didn't recall, and it should again solidify that Luger was up next, was Luger kicks out of the leg drop.
Mm-hmm.
And that ain't small potatoes. But Lex is the star in this, and the Giant has some cool moments when he comes in and kind of cleans house. And I really like the it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but they do the thing where Rodman had leapfrogged Luger a few times, so he tries to do it in the Giant catches him in a bear hug on the way down. Just like simple shit like that. Mm-hmm. It's excellent. And the finish is an absolute mess, but they get where they need to go, and that's Lex winning, and he puts both of them in the rack. And because they do the Rodman headbutts the ref, so then another ref comes down, so Hogan gets to do his I didn't really lose. And the one thing, and there's a really good like 30-minute mini doc on Rodman's involvement in wrestling on the Untold series.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes. They actually got him to sit down and do that, and he talks about in this like how exhausting it is. And again, world-class basketball player, and he is clearly blown the fuck up at the end of this match, man. It's an interesting thing. It's that I mentioned Bad Bunny. The tag match he had with Miz and Morrison is probably prettier on paper, but this is kind of like, I can't imagine someone who bought the pay-per-view for this being disappointed, because this was, you kind of got a little bit of everything and got to see, Rodman do some wrestling moves.
They've definitely, this is a weird, like, I don't mean this is a slight, but they've got so fucking proficient at those celebrity matches now that it almost feels like a cheat, right? It's like they're produced to such, because there's no way this match, while it's produced tightly, Hogan ain't fucking going to the Performance Center and hitting the ropes with your brothers. You can get a read on his timing. Like, this is old school graps. It was very, very effective, I thought. To your point about this particular show, Oracle said Bash of the Beach 97 is arguably the best WCW pay-per-view of the Nitro era, up there with Great American Bash 96 and Spring Stampede 99. Well, there you go, folks. The Oracle of Wrestling. He also said Heenan popping for Rodman rules. Factual. Heenan, there is a perception, and probably fairly considering how great he was beforehand, that he was like washed in WCW. Heenan's fucking great in WCW, man. Yeah. Yes, sometimes he doesn't care, but when he's on, he still had so much to show, and that pay-per-view trio of Dusty, Tony, and Heenan, incredible dynamic.
I'd argue some of his best stuff is there, because when he doesn't care, just the shit he'll riff about, and like, people would say Barry, but just make fun. He would do shit too, like when Nitro start, just turn his chair around so his back's to the camera. Like that shit was funny.
I also would love when those three, when there'd be a cruiserweight match and they'd bring in Mike Tenay, because the three of them wasn't qualified. And sometimes Heenan would just stop talking, like, I'll let him do it, it's fine. A lot here, absolutely. You point a lot of it, Alex. I did want to quickly mention that hot tag that Giant makes where he fucking hits Robin with a big boot.
Yeah.
That was quite the visual. Bobby, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, Alex really nailed a lot of it. Like, it was interesting to me that we started with this, and the Giant was like the least entertaining part, but like, it's just a really fun match, man. Like, it was nothing special, obviously. Well, it was special. It was nothing, technically proficient or whatever. It
wasn't a spreadsheet match, right?
Maybe a little too long, but ultimately, it got the job done. People loved it. Just like a steady stream of garbage being thrown in the ring every couple minutes, which I appreciate. Just good stuff, man. Like, and I know you're kind of limited with the Giant at this point and Rodman, so Luger
and Hogan.
Well, yeah, Hogan too. But yeah, really great showing for Luger.
I will say Hogan is good here, man. Like legitimately, he's really good
was.
here. You know,
the Sting run in, it's so obviously Kevin Nash. Like the way he moves, it's just like there's no mystery there. That's
I wonder how the announcers were supposed to sell that. Like, I wonder how were they supposed to buy it, or was that them just not having any communication to the announcers? I'd love to know.
I mean, it was WCW, so who knows?
Exactly. Yeah.
The poster for this was excellent. I remember the ad for it. It said, I'm looking at it now, Hollywood Hogan and Dennis Rodman crash the bash. Bash at the Beach, July 13th.
It's fucking awesome. Luger is... There's many different parts to Luger's career where he's framed differently, but it's often said around this time he was like the height of professionalism for the promotion. Like he was like, genuinely a team player. And I think you really see that here with the way he approaches this match, right? He puts in a really committed professional performance. He's always ridiculous with the... Yeah, it's insane. This is one of the most egregious examples ever. He's ridiculous in this match. Well, in the first 5 minutes of Hogan, how many times he does the flex and fucking scream deal? He does it like 15 times. It's incredible. The leapfrog, the amount of juice they get out of that is tremendous. There's a lot here, man. It's the length of it is absolutely insane. And I don't know why that was a thing. But they pull it off, I think, as best you possibly can, considering the pieces at play. I mean, Luger, I'm a Luger fan. But when you look at this match, it's like there's no, there's not an Eddie Guerrero in here, fair to say, right? I mean, there's some limitations to work around. But it's good old-fashioned pro wrestling, and they kind of make a show of the spectacle more than anything else. And it worked with the core point. The crowd will be happy with it, absolutely.
They have just that shit never gets old type thing, and you hear like you see the old blue hairs in the crowd marking out for this part where Rodman's getting all cocky, and then I forget what Luger does, but Rodman ends up in the wrong part of town, and he turns around and Giant's right there at the fist, and Rodman freaks out and like turns around and Luger clotheslines him, and that's all it needs to be.
Absolutely. Very smart match. Very effective celebrity match for sure. Again, not really the best showcase of the Giant, but I'm glad we got a chance to cover this because I'm not sure when else we would. So, a cool deal. All right.
Dennis Rodman, Grin Grappler?
Well, listen, man, crazy things have happened. We jump ahead a couple years now, and things have certainly changed for the Big Show, the Giant. He's now... Is he actually Big Show? This one he is, right? He's not, because I know when he initially came in and they had the shoot name gimmick going on, but here he is.
Do you know why he was called the Big Show?
I do not know.
The Monday Night Wars and things returner were still raging, right? So what if I got a wrestler whose initials were TBS?
I had no idea.
Yeah, the original idea was, allegedly, was they were going to call him TBS, and that's why it was the Big Show.
Oh, God, that's awful. Yeah. Oh, that is... I mean, the name is honestly awful anyway, but you kind of got used to it, so you just accept it for what it is, right? But that makes it infinitely worse somehow. Show comes in, February 99, right? Yeah. He comes in the cage
Valentine's
match.
Day Massacre, yep.
And I think it's fair to say, by his own admission, has just like a horrific few years. Like just does not work. Nothing seems to click. Most of the guys on the roster seemingly think he sucks. Undertaker does his like football coach bit and takes him under his wing. Here we are, and what I'm about to say is a real thing, folks, I promise. SmackDown main event. World Tag Team titles. The Big Show and Undertaker versus the Rock and Sock Connection. Buried Alive match. I don't know, man. Does anyone know how we got here? Because I certainly do not. This is not my expertise. Bobby, you got any?
No, I'm not sure.
How does one reach this point? A Buried Alive tag match for the World Tag Team titles in a TV main event. What are we doing?
When we were watching this, like I thought Russo left in the summer, and then I looked up when he went to WCW in October. So this was like, I'm going out the door, and then Chris Kresge came in and had to fucking clean up all these angles that made no sense. But like, when you watch this, boy, just put it this way, a guy who's not involved in the match wins the match. And that is like the most Russo thing ever.
Willie says this was the third SmackDown ever. That would also explain the kind of Russo need to do this. So you have to put a hat on a hat with him, right? It has to be. God forbid the Undertaker and the Big Show wrestle Rock and Sock Connection for the World Tag. So it has to be a Buried Alive match, bro. I've got to get a house in there, Very interesting. Unfortunately, there's not much else that's interesting about this. The Big Show's had many looks. Is this the worst? The big diaper look? This is very
Yes.
unfortunate, isn't it?
It's not great.
With the braided ponytail.
Indeed. They jumpstart Mankind. The Rock comes in late. They brawl around. At one point, for some reason, Show decides he's going to carry McFoley up the ramp and looks like he regrets every single step of it. After about 3 steps, he's immediately regretting his decision. This is quite the deal. Alex, what does one say about this thing?
My note, Big Show looks like an idiot. That's my first note. Well, first of all, and most importantly, the date of this was September 9th of 1999, 9/9/99. And for any children of the 90s, you know that date very well because that's when or American children of the 90s, because that's when the Sega Dreamcast hit the United States. The whole marketing campaign was 9/9/99. It was also the night of the 1999 Video Music Awards. Back in those days, I chose the Video Music Awards over SmackDown. That's how important those were, like cultural fucking happenings every year. Chris Rock hosted, and I'm sure hilarity ensued. But anyway, here the Buried Alive match. State of the theme song, because they try to mix the Big Show and Undertaker's theme songs, and it's just, dude, 99 was bleak. They were printing money hand over fist, and I defend 98. I think 98's great. And then 2000 is arguably like their greatest year ever from like an in-ring and creative output standpoint. But 99, dude, like it's the whole show, everything is walk and brawl. And that's what people wanted to see Steve Austin do, but that's not what they wanted to see everyone else do. They would So basically you can just say 99 was like Steve Austin's year because that's all people really wanted to see. 99 in general was not good. You could probably make a case that ECW was the best American promotion that year.
Yeah.
But anyway, other notes here include Michael Cole. Michael Cole was bad for a while. I forgot how god awful he was when he first started out. And, try to cut some slack to the guy, no fault of his own. He didn't know shit about wrestling, and Vince McMahon screaming in his ear, say this, use this word. Pronouns, pal. Okay, so boys, what do we think the goal was when Foley got thrown off the stage? Like, the best I can figure is he was supposed to make it into the hole, and there was like a mattress or a crash pad in there, but he doesn't come close. Like, he misses it by at least 4 feet, and it looked like he lands right on his hip and just bounces. Like, it looks like it's just something built of wood.
He looks awful, doesn't it? It looks horrific. Yeah.
And then, like, what makes the thing with Show's gear even worse is he gets in there and he's wearing a big diaper and he's covered in mud now. So, like, he's just dirty. And then, like, peak Russo. Russo's thing is always, like, we got to do something where, someone gets hit in the head with something. And Triple H comes out and swings a sledgehammer and hits Big Show in the back of the head with it. And Big Show just, like, tumbles over. That would legitimately murder somebody. And that, if you watch Russo WCW, everything is people getting hit in the head with baseball bats and shit. It's just fucking idiot. But yes, Triple H wins the match that he's not a part of. And, this gave birth to that GIF that would be used frequently and always penetrate the forum post about WWE in the early to mid 2000s of Triple H just using the shovel to bury dirt in the grave. That was very popular amongst the No DQ and Top Rope Talk forums. But I can kind of understand why we want to do this, because we cover the Big Show. We want to cover, like, where he was at this point in time. But it is not a surprise at all that here within the next 6 months or so, they're like, fucking get out of here, dude. You got to learn how we do it here.
Yeah, it's a mess, man. I mean, it's weird for me too, because I don't have any nostalgia for this time. Like, I've talked about this a lot. I can definitely, when you talk about 2000, Alex, I see that. Like, I'm not oblivious to it, but because I don't have nostalgia, it's always different. This is like borderline unwatchable wrestling for me. Yeah. This is like as bad as it gets for me personally. Again, my preference. This is just there's so much going on and none of it matters, and it's just all.
Dude, that's WrestleMania 15. Like, people always complain about, like, WrestleMania, myself included, having too many matches or, like, being too loaded. But at least, like, like an example like last year, Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre, people are like, why do they have to have a match? At least it felt like it meant something. Like if you watched WrestleMania from 1999, WrestleMania 15, nothing on that show matters until fucking Steve Austin and The Rock get out there. And it's just like sitting through a monotonous 3 hour. Well, Butterbean matters, but other than that, nothing else on that show matters.
Yeah. He always matters. Bob, what did you
I enjoyed it, when they were just kind of hanging out, brawling in the back and all that.
Hanging out.
Yeah. I thought the Big Show throwing Foley was cool, even though he did miss. It was a brutal spot, but and then everyone just starts showing up, and it's just like, all right, none of this really matters anymore. And then kind of like we talked about with Triple H winning, like, what does that mean for the tag titles then? It was very funny. They didn't see Earl Hebner saying the match was over, so he just waves a shovel in the air to get the attention of the timekeeper.
That was funny. Yeah.
Good stuff. He's a pro.
Yeah, you're a big fan of
I don't know. It was all right. Like Austin showing up at the end made everyone happy, but like didn't factor into the story at all. So I don't know. It wasn't great.
Mhm.
I forgot about that when Foley he lands like he got thrown up a building, and then just like kind of rolls into the hole, and Hebner's like leaning down it like, "You all right, boy? You all right?"
Oracle says, Big Show's falling tree selling is awesome in this. That is fair. He did do a good job of that.
Yeah.
He also takes a great bump into the grave. Lousy match, but I thought Show looked good. Honestly, I had no idea what to expect at all in terms of his performance. Yeah, I definitely think he was. I think it's fair to say that he was not the. He was not the culprit here, right? This is just a bad in every which way. It's not an execution thing so much as it's just a conceptual thing. I know how Joe feels about multi-man matches. This is not from Oracles from Don't Have an At. Why is this match over the freeway where Show is built? That's not my that is not my domain. This was a committee situation. We had a team meeting. Alex was not there for this. Should be noted, Alex. You're not guilty. Bob, I'm looking at you. Whenever we do World Wrestling Federation late 90s, 2000s, Bob, what do? Hands up, right?
Yep.
Nothing to do with me. So, Bob, explain yourself.
Yeah, Oracle's not here, so it's fine. We'll just bury him. This was his call. I would have probably picked.
Was it really?
I think it was actually. Yeah. I know he said the Floyd match too, but he definitely suggested this one. But there's only so much you can do in the '90s, though.
Look at Oracle getting the shit kicked out of him.
There's only so much you can do in the '90s, though, as well with him. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the point too, right? It's like it is what it is, man. That's where he was at that time. All right, let's put a bow on Act 1 with any other hits. I know, Alex, you have the Meng match you'd like to show some love to, right? Which I watched before we went on here because that was a hoot.
Yeah, it's from '98. The Meng and Big Show have the Meng and the Giant have a 3-minute match on Nitro that fucking rules. It's basically positioned like a shoot fight, and it's really fun. It's on YouTube. Just Google Meng the Giant Nitro. It'll take 5 minutes of your life, and you'll be better for it. On the last episode, I do need to correct myself. I called out the Giant versus Randy Savage from Great American Bash '96. It was actually Fall Brawl '96 when he and Savage had a match. I believe, I don't know if it was for the title, but the main event of that was, of course, War Games. But it's one of those just. It's funny how Savage was able to keep the same shtick he did, like in WWF, and it worked with those WCW crowds. Whereas, pretty quickly WCW crowds got tired of Red and Yellow Hogan, but Savage was still just to be able to be Savage because he was so good. But it's just like Savage gets the shit kicked out of him for the majority of the match. Stages a comeback, it's a power slam. People just start going fucking nuts. Fall Brawl '96, check that out. Giant had some good matches with Sting. I feel and his matches in WCW just it literally depended on who he was working with. So I think it's one of his last matches with Goldberg. I talked about it on the Goldberg episode. It's really funny because it's just determined for Bill to actually just steamroll the Giant. And then after this in WWF, there's nothing I can recommend from his initial run. The early 2000s, The Rock just incessantly burying him in every promo he could is so funny. And, I could imagine people getting mad about it, but I remember WrestleMania 2000, which don't watch that match. That main event is god awful, but he The Rock's cutting his promo, and he's like, "Tonight, it's not about Mrs. Foley's baby boy accomplishing his dream. It's not about the game retaining the title. It sure as hell ain't about the damn Big Show. It's about the..." And every promo he would cut around that time just cut the legs out of the Big Show. But watching this and like watching that stuff, when he got to the WWF, dude, like he did all the shit they hated. They just thought he would, that's the hubris of it. That's Vince McMahon right there. Well, I bought this guy, so he's just going to be what I expect him to be when he gets in the ring. But Big Show is still, he would do that thing where when he was in the corner, his hands would be on the ropes, and that's apparently like Vince's like number one don't do. And then he still was doing like the Giant Gonzalez type sell, like when he would get hit and shit like that. And that's just what he learned in WCW. So they basically had to reteach him. WWF just got like a lump of clay, and that. His first match in the company, he lost to Steve Austin. So I think that kind of set the tone of what to come. I think it would probably be until like 2001 before I would find something that I recommended he was a part of.
Oracle is defending himself. He says, "I usually try and find a bad match so Alex has to watch it." Alex, any response to that? Pretty scathing.
I respect that level of petty. I really do.
That's fair. Bobby, anything from the 90s for show you'd like to call out, mate?
I like the Boiler Room Brawl match. It might be more of Foley than Big Show at Backlash 1999, but yeah, that's about it.
Okay. All right, we move to the 2000s. An awful lot goes on with Show in the 2000s, right? I mean, again, more of those kind of ups and downs. A little hiatus in the middle, a couple hiatus for different reasons, but nonetheless, let's get started here. Survivor Series 2002, opposite Brock Lesnar, opponent of Omos, for those of you who are not aware. Here at the Garden. So this kind of track, Bobby, what's the story going in here? Because I knew the finish going in, I'd seen the match, but like how have they kind of set the stage for the upcoming turn? I know you're very familiar with this kind of time.
Yeah, so Brock has passed the Undertaker stuff. He wins Hell in a Cell, and then I believe Big Show attacked him at the end of the Hell in a Cell match, if I remember correctly, and that just kind of set that up from there. And the whole story was, Heyman's a little skeptical because Brock hurt his ribs in the Hell in a Cell, and Heyman kind of brings up, like, I know he equated it to like the Thriller Manila for a while. Basically just ended with like, Brock, you can't beat the Big Show. That's something that always stood out, and it ended up being more of a spoiler than a prediction from Paul Heyman. So that's how we got there.
That was very good, Paul. That was very good.
That was excellent.
Did you have that plan? Did you write it down?
No.
Fucking on the fly, Alex. You don't have to call his shit back there. He gets in there, grabs a hold, and gets it figured out. That's what I'm talking about. All right.
Get the flare. I'll see you out there. Real quick, Bob, do you remember Big Show compound fractured his forearm the week before the show? That's why he has that cast on.
Okay,
yes,
that explains it.
Yes.
I'm sorry to do this again, but is this look not? This immediately contends for worst Big Show look, doesn't it?
Leather Daddy Paul.
Yeah, this is wild, bro. Let's get into it. Alex, you went to this one. This is a sprint. It has to be said, man. Brock, I mean, he's still a freak, but this version of Brock is like not human, man. Some of the shit he does here, bumping and offensively, like he is a freak. This is a good time. It's only like 4 minutes, but Alex, I know you wanted to do this one, so
no, yeah, and that you're exactly right. That was like my main takeaway. I've seen this match at least a dozen times because it is so easily ingestible. But like, you're right, man. We're so used to Brock, creature of habit now, who can still he does things that are impressive. The way he's able to just throw people around and shit. But like, his speed in this match and like the quickness in which he's able to hit shit and like he overhead belly to bellies the Big Show like. Like, what the fuck, man? Even, Big Show, people would say, well, his weight was embellished. I'm like, he was still a fucking 7 foot, 450-pound man that Brock picks up. But I remember watching this at the Hooters on Riverside in Austin, which is no longer there. And when he got him up for the F5, I remember that place was packed. And like in my brain, it's as loud as any pop I've ever heard, like at any show I've ever been to. Like the place just, the microphones would have popped, like they would have broken if that place was mic'd. It's all this needed to be. This was one of 9 million times Vince decided to shine up the Big Show and bring him back and have him be like a big force. And yeah, that's exactly it. He was gone for a lot of the summer and fall, I think. And then he was brought back for this program. And I mean, this is this was the beginning of the ill-fated Brock Lesnar babyface run. But like, if you're gonna beat Brock, this is as good a way to do it. Brock comes out, absolutely murders this guy, has the match won, and then gets screwed out of the finish. And I mean that the F5 he eventually would do to the Big Show kind of just became like a Death Valley Driver type thing. And again, I'm not shitting on dude because I couldn't do that. This is full on. He gets him up and swings him around, and like the way the ring kind of like bounces. And tie-dye guy is back in the frame because he's in the crowd, like much like at Bash of the Beach '97, jumping up and down, marking out. So this is in the vein of Goldberg Lesnar from 33, I think in contention for the best 5-minute match we've covered on the Grin Grappler.
I would agree, Bob. Is this one for Omos to watch front to back a few times before WrestleMania?
I think that'd be a really good idea. If they could get this sort of match out of Brock and Omos, it'd be really good.
Yeah, good luck with that. What did you think of this one?
It was good. They have a couple matches that I like more, but this one, is iconic. And
are you gonna do this all night, Bob? Are you gonna pick apart our match selections all night?
No, but I mean the ones I like more, Brock wins anyway, so it's probably good to have this one just because Big Show wins. It's very good. It's impressive. It's a hell of a job by Brock here.
Got a chair shot to the head.
Yeah, that was a serious one too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, it was supposed to be Hogan in Big Show's place, but Hogan wanted to win. He wanted to get his win back over Brock, and they didn't want Brock to lose like that, I suppose, because Hogan would have beat him clean.
Wait, hold up. What? So where did the turn come from, though?
What?
Well, if he was in this spot, when would the turn have happened?
I don't know if they would have necessarily. They might have waited a little bit longer. I don't know.
You imagine?
I think by this
theory, Paulie joins him. You imagine?
He's walking through the curtain.
Yeah.
I've got the Paulie man, dude. I imagine at this point they already had their minds made up that it was going to be Angle and Brock at WrestleMania, so they were just trying to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good match. It's an incredible show overall, obviously, if you've never seen the whole thing. But yeah, really good match and kind of showed what Brock could do. And Big Show's a little bit better than we saw earlier. I mean, he's heavier here, which, would be something that would be an issue for him for a little bit. But good match overall. They have a handful of good matches throughout the next 6 months or so that we'll get into when we finish the 2000s.
Is this the Chamber show, the first Chamber?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, no, the atmosphere for this is great. I did really enjoy this. It was very, very fun. So I liked it. Also, always nice to have a sprint, as the leading supporters of that genre with our Bill Goldberg episodes. So it's always nice to have that featured.
It's also so rare that you get the moment in this. Like I can't remember the last time where it's the idea of, can this guy give this other guy his finishing move?
Mm-hmm.
And then when he does, and Brock does all this crazy shit, but this was the first time he ever got the Big Show up for the F5.
Absolutely. All right. With all due respect, what we've just covered, it's time for some real graps, boys. It's time to watch some professional wrestling, I feel. Okay. We head now to July 11th, 2006, the early days of ECW TV. Well, before we do that, we actually should stop and see what the Oracle of Wrestling says. He says Brock Spear is incredible. Big Show's bumping puts this over the top. MSG going nuts, so the German is another highlight. Good call. Incredible thing to admit publicly. I'm going to leave that for the comment section. All right. ECW TV.
Yeah.
Early days. The Nature Boy Ric Flair is called in. We need a guy. He cuts a pre-match promo on this show that is fucking incredible. It is clearly unscripted, which never happened around this time, but it's ECW, so fuck it, right? Just let him talk. And he does the sports style fucking deal. He goes, Giant, I was there when you broke in, and now look at you. You're the world's heavyweight champion. Look, it's the fucking NWA belt,
Well, then he says at one point that the ECW title, never wanted it.
Never wanted
until
it.
now.
he goes, never won it, never wanted it until now. It's so beast. Before we get into the match itself, Bob, map out the 4 years in between matches if you can, best you can, that kind of middle chunk. What was Show up to on the road to this one?
He was U.S. champion for a while because that's who Cena beats at WrestleMania 20. Mm-hmm. He choke slams Kurt Angle off the ledge thing on SmackDown when Kurt's general manager. 2005 is when he is teaming with Kane. They win the tag titles for a while, and then they get in the May 19th stuff, or no, the May 19th stuff I think is earlier in 2006. But yeah, 2005, he's mostly just teaming with Kane. Not really around the title because he's on Raw, and they do Cena and Jericho and Christian for most of the year. In early 2006, he feuds with Kane. They do the May 19th stuff. They have the one match where they chain wrestle for the first 5 minutes or whatever.
Fucked the crowd with chain wrestling.
Yeah. And then by this point, Rob Van Dam is suspended and stripped of the ECW title. Kurt Angle's on the way out, so Big Show becomes the top guy in ECW until he leaves later in the year.
Now, this is a time where, Show is kind of the face of this thing falling apart because unfortunately the audience that was interested in this being a thing did not want him there. But I think they actually do a really good job of trying to present him, accordingly.
Mm.
Poor Show is feeling at this point. I mean, don't even that brings it up. He was struggling health-wise and he looks that way. But in fear of not focusing on the Big Show because this show's about him, this is one of the most insane Ric Flair performances ever.
Yeah.
He is talking through every single beat of this match. To an insane degree, considering that these guys have definitely, they wrestled 10 years prior. He's got him in the corner and you hear Flair, push me off, and Flair takes his big fucking bomb. It almost felt like he was motivating Show in real time, which made for a pretty interesting watch. There's also an awful lot of violence here. Bobby, I'll go back to you, mate. What did you make of this incredible ECW TV main event?
Yeah, I think it's a blast. It does a really good job getting Big Show more over as a top guy there, which, you have to do. Flair is in the part of his career where he's just doing crazy shit. This is when he's in the middle of the Foley feud, so he's just doing whatever, leaving it all out there, as shown by his thumbtack bump in this match. I think on paper, not what you'd expect, but it is what it needed to be.
Oracle showed some love too to the Flair Foley feud, which creates some classic Flair moments. What about that chair shot in this match when he hits fucking Show to the chest with the chair? Just wallops him in the chair. This is incredible. Alex, what did you make of this?
Devin, is that the promo where Flair throws the mic down and starts speaking into the book? Because I remember getting endless material out of that in college. Well, Joe, you and I are usually on the same page, but I'm going to disagree with you because if you watch One Night Stand 06, all anyone remembers from that show, and at this point, rightfully so, is Cena and RVD. But Big Show comes out after the FBI, Tajiri, whoever match, and cleans house. He gets booed when he comes out, but he absolutely wrecks shop and cleans house like 911 or Sid or how Heyman would use those guys. And by the end, they're on their feet clapping for him because he kills all these guys.
Okay.
So, look, this was, what was the date on this? July. And, this was a month into this new ECW, and it was already done. You could see the things that they were trying, the camera, it was presented differently and shit, but this is just WWE. I think, Big Show, if you used him like 911 or something like that, then the crowd could get into it. But it just was never going to happen. Fucking Test beats Tommy Dreamer on here. And, you could see the things Heyman had ideas for. And this was, Punk was coming in soon. And I still, this could have, the ECW thing could have worked. Calling it ECW to begin with was a bad idea. But then it just, by this point, it was off the rails. You can hear someone yell when the bell rings for Flair and Big Show. Someone goes, "This is very ECW." This is probably one of the more beloved spectacle matches that I really dislike. You watch this and this is what Ric Flair thought ECW was. This is what Vince and Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard and all those people, this is all they thought ECW was. You just hit each other in the head with shit and you bleed, and that's it. Which, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of that in ECW, but there was a lot of other shit there that it always the popular, Rob Van Dam is a great example. Vince and Triple H and those guys were never able to figure out why people loved RVD so much, and that drove them crazy type thing. And that, it's an ECW. It's just part of the experience. It's not just violence for the sake of violence. Tommy Dreamer is a great example. I mean, he's a fucking idiot, but Tommy Dreamer is a great example. He was a tremendous babyface in ECW, and yeah, he bled a lot and got hit with shit, but it was always because he was standing up for what was right and defending the fans and that type of shit. So there was more to it than just like what this is. They win the crowd over because the crowd's not thrilled at the beginning of this because it's the Big Show versus Ric Flair. But then, by the end of it, they're just like, hey, we're all here for this car wreck, so why the fuck not? I remember at the time, I thought this was sad. And sorry, Devin, I thought the feud with Foley was sad. That's where Ric Flair had gone to. Little did I know what we would see in the coming 15 years.
Indeed.
So now it's kind of funny to watch. That's basically where I settle on it. But yeah, for the wrestler du jour, Tall Paul, he looked like he needed a break, man. Like you watch this and stuff around the time, and you got to feel for the dude too. Like this new pet project they have, and RVD, the 1A, 1B, and 1C all get taken out. So you're saddled with it now, and then everyone is going to point to you as the reason this shit sucks. So not to defend like the treatment of ECW or anything like that, but I feel for him in this particular scenario.
For sure, and it's a shame because I think even with his struggles, I do think the presentation was closer to getting it right than they often were with Show. And I think, he tries his best. It's just for the reason you laid out, it was never going to be. Oracle said, I remember watching the WWE vs. ECW special of One Night Stand Week. When Show turned out in the Battle Royal, I was confused because he wasn't an ECW guy. Of course, I popped when Angle joined them, which also made no sense. Fair. And also said Flair's blade job was great as usual. Big Show getting mad after taking a back bump and taking it home rules. Tack bump, sorry. Flair's tack bump at the finish is insane. Big Show basically uses his body like a mop. Yes, indeed, he does.
I forgot that Flair's tack bump comes after the bell because you can, just like you're saying, you can see him go, throw me. You
can see him say,
throw me in the tacks, brother.
Everything you said about this is true, Alex. It's sad. It's horrific in a lot of ways. The visual of Flair being pulled out of the ring is like legitimately like scarring. But man, this is professional wrestling right here. I mean, this is some truly sicko shit. I mean, a month into this project being like, fuck it, let's just have Flair come in and bleed everywhere. I don't know, man. I mean, how old is he? 55? No, he must be. Yeah. He's 50 in 99, so 57. 57 years old, folks. Here he is. Getting for a TV main event with thumbtacks and everything else that comes with it. An insane moment in time. I'm now going to interrupt this program to talk about Gabe Sapolsky. When featured on the famed Guest Booker series, Gabe Sapolsky was tasked with booking this very project, Extreme Championship Wrestling in 2006, the reboot. The scenario being if Paulie had given him the job, what would he have done? And being an honorable man, as we know him to be, Gabe said, I'm not going to steal anyone from Ring of Honor because that would be too easy. And I am delighted to announce that Gabe built around Ric Flair chasing this belt because it was the one belt he hadn't won. And all I could think about as I watched this match was, man, if only, you imagine this was the whole product, how mad it would have been and how much it would have ruled. The whole thing was built on just Ric Flair chasing the ECW title.
Have you ever heard Shane Douglas talk about, that's one of the things Heyman sold him, was that they were going to bring Ric Flair into the ECW arena to wrestle Shane for the ECW title in like 97.
Of course, yeah, I've heard him talk about this, yeah.
And then I think it's the High Spots that interviewed the Flair, it's whoever, like, any truth to you going to ECW 97 wrestle Shane Douglas? And Flair starts laughing and he's like, no.
Fucking Paul Lee, man. Incredible. Quite the time here. An interesting spectacle, if nothing else. Speaking of spectacles, let's move on now. Mania 24. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather in one of the most famous celebrity matches in wrestling history, I think it's fair to say. Show departed in December 2006. Mm-hmm. Was away for around 13, 14 months.
Yes.
Came back for this angle with Floyd. Initially, Floyd was a babyface. They shot an incredible angle where he fucking punched Show directly in the face and busted him up. And Show's talked about that story. Like, he told Floyd, hit me, because, we need to get the people to buy on it. And he said he hit him. He was so quick that Show, saw red and got mad about it for a shoot for, half a second, because he was just, it was it caught him before he could even think about it, right? Because
it broke the shit out of his nose, too.
Yeah. I think, for some reason, Show needed confirmation that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had quick hands, is what it is. Nonetheless,
Yeah,
Good.
Joe, from the shoot fighting fans' perspective, I was curious your thoughts on this because we're talking about Floyd here. We talked about Rodman coming in after winning the championship. So Floyd was coming off of beating Oscar De La Hoya and Ricky Hatton. So in your
Yes.
opinion, do you think this was his peak as a boxer? Obviously, his marketing appeal and his pop presence were probably bigger with like the Conor Freak Show and fights like that, Pacquiao. But do you think this was his peak as a competitive
I
fighter?
would say a couple years prior. I think when he was, because this is after he transitioned to being Money Mayweather in the build to the De La Hoya fight, which transformed him as a celebrity. I think the Floyd who fought, Corrales what comes to mind. When he hit harder as Pretty Boy Floyd, I think, because his hands are pretty fucked up by this point already. This is probably the best marriage of him being an elite fighter and also being a celebrity, because those two fights you just mentioned, as you'll remember, they were mega fights.
Yeah.
De La Hoya and Hatton were massive, massive fights. So he's probably the perfect middle ground here. This is actually, unless I'm mistaken, this is in the midst of his first, maybe second retirement. Because remember, he steps away for a little bit, right?
He was retired because in 2009, I remember it was the day Hatton and Pacquiao fought. He announced his like comeback fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to talk about a worker, man? A match made in heaven. Floyd Mayweather in pro wrestling, man.
It's amazing, man. He fought here. He fought in London on Saturday night. They sold about 3,000 tickets in a 20,000 seat building, and he don't care. He's getting guaranteed money, right? I mean, it's an incredible thing to watch. And as kind of the people in the chat are talking about, he was supposed to be a babyface because, of course, Big Show is like 4 times the size of this man. Immediately, that didn't work because Floyd he was playing a heel, man. He is a heel for a legitimate shoe. He's a heel, but he, as a boxing character, he was a heel. So they quickly flipped it. He gets genuine heat here. Bob, if they edited Floyd's entrance on this deal on the network, they must have changed it.
Yeah,
the sound was, okay, I don't know what it came out to initially, but they've added some sort of generic shit here on this entrance. But nonetheless, I think this is a great example of kind of the headspace that Show was in. Like he made the most of his stuff in this comeback run. And again, as you said, Alex, it doesn't mean everything was great, but man, he did a hell of a job here. This is really effective. Bobby, what did you make of Mayweather and Big Show on revisit, mate?
Yeah, real man. Still one of the best celebrity matches. I'm glad they didn't just go like, we're going to just do a boxing match with it. I don't think that would have been nearly as good. And I think that would have been tempting. But to just have, full-on wrestling rules was great. And, Mayweather's entourage getting involved and all that. And they played all the beats, man. And you knew who's going to win coming in. You don't know exactly how he's going to do it. But, that's a really nice touch. Them do it with breast knuckles to finally put Big Show down too, and just great stuff. This whole show is great. I was fast forwarding through, and I forgot how good this is as a WrestleMania.
Bob, you might remember this. He was initially going to be alongside Ray, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was Mayweather and Ray against Big Show and Shane. That was the plan. That was
Shane,
and before that, it was supposed to be. Supposedly, they were trying to piggyback off of the previous year, the De La Hoya fight, so it was going to be De La Hoya and Ray against Shane and Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
That would have worked better because at least then you'd had the babyface heel dynamic. The Ray being team with Floyd would have been, because they do an angle to get nowhere out, they appear together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how they introduced Floyd. Is like he has a little scene with Ray, unless I'm mistaken. So
kind
of an interesting scenario to play around.
Ray goes forehead to forehead with Mayweather and puts the mask on him.
That could have been interesting to see how they got out of that one after they started booing Floyd. But nonetheless, here's where they ended up. As you said, Bob, they have the kind of boxing exchanges early, which they do, pretty effective. It's very hard to do in professional wrestling, but I think they did a pretty good job. The reaction when Show stomps on his arm/hand is incredible, and Floyd sells it. Great moment. They got an awful lot out of that. Alex, what did you make of Mayweather and Show here, WrestleMania 24?
Someone called it out in the chat, Mayweather's entourage, which looks small compared to what his entourage is now. That dude rolls like 50 people deep to events and shit. But Leonard Ellerby is the unsung hero of this match, man. Just screaming at ringside, we didn't sign up for this. He can't be doing that type of thing. And you mentioned Mayweather selling, he didn't mind making himself look weak. He's screaming at some points in this, begging for help, like Ricky Morton style selling. Floyd Mayweather, known fan of the game. He's a big Tommy Rich fan. But I forgot he takes a chop. He takes a chop
He
and a
does.
sidewalk slam, and there's if you're counting the moves, this ain't Savage Steamboat, but man, the crowd starts tepid, and by the end, they're at a fever pitch. They're wanting to see this shit. So, Show goes with it too, because he does that at the one point. He's supposed to be the heel, but he starts doing the Hogan shit, one more, that type of thing. Mayweather shoot punches him at the finish too, which is pretty awesome, and chair shots to the head. So more good shit there. It's been we're looks like an hour into this, and we haven't had any physical media facts yet, so I feel the need to call out that WrestleMania 24 was the first ever Blu-ray release from the World Wrestling Federation. WrestleMania 24 was I believe they had already started doing Raw and SmackDown in HD, but this was one of the first pay-per-views they broadcast in high definition, and it was the first Blu-ray release, and also the Mayweather Big Show match in its entirety can be found on the 50-year anniversary Blu-ray release of the World Wrestling Federation, which I think to this day is still the only official release they've had where they talk about Owen Hart dying, which is pretty intense. But anyway, this is a lot of fun. And, of course Mayweather was going to win, so I'm glad they did it in a way that, Big Show gets the weary, veteran or journeyman pulling himself up on the ropes. And then in the most 2008 sign possible, Joe, I don't know if you caught it, someone had a sign in the crowd that said Mayweather fears Cotto. And
wow.
We'd find out the answer to that question a few years later, but
hell of a fight, to be fair. Hell of a fight.
Oh, dude, Cotto had up until that point one of the best game plans of anyone that fought Mayweather. It's just Mayweather's so good he was able to adapt. But yeah, this is so much fun. It's we talked. It's funny that we find Paul Wight in this situation twice, like a really relevant high level athlete in a star in the sports world that he's paired with to have a match with on pay-per-view. And I remember, of course, as strange as it sounds, the hype for this was way more plentiful. Just the nature of the beast had changed. Wrestling wasn't wrestling, if you can believe it, changed a lot between 97 and 2008. But God, I remember in the hype video for it, which is cut out of the network release, they have fucking Burt Sugar and Michael Buffer offering their insight to it, what this could mean for Mayweather's career if he loses. And JR is also fantastic in this. Is Floyd Mayweather goes to 40-0.
He's incredible in this for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if this is on his official record, but it definitely should be. Bob said it. It's one of those manias that's from start to finish, almost flawless. Even if the downtime matches or the pillow fight or whatever, it's just kind of it's there to kind of calm people down. And so I think sometimes people lose sight of how good this was. And depending on which way you want to look at it, one of Paul Wight's more important outings, because it solidified him as someone that can be trusted in any situation to not just carry a match, but protect investments that are needed and that type of thing. So, yeah, fine piece of business.
Absolutely. Oracle co-signs says this is an all-time celebrity match. Big Show stalking Floyd, all match ruled. I also love Show taking liberties with the posse. There was an incredible choke slam in there. Floyd has also been this great selling. The hand crush spot is tremendous. Perfect finish. Yeah, absolutely agree on. I must say, I didn't remember there being so much real match in here, if that makes any sense. I remember him. I remember the spot where Show chases the posse down, up the ramp, and I thought that was a longer stretch. They just go back to the ring. I mean, this is an extreme term for it, but Show kind of has a control segment in here. Where he kind of does what he would do generally, and because he's kind of the de facto, but the crowd's cheering him, he kind of plays it as you say, Alex. Floyd did more in that sense than I realized. I actually kind of forgotten that. To be honest, so
cool. Internetry asked a question. Yeah, Michael Tarver is in Floyd's posse. I don't know. I know Leonard Ellerby is legit his his manager, but I imagine those guys were workers they grabbed, because a lot of them.
Some of them were, yeah. The guys who didn't take bumps were his actual guys, who I think are actually still with him. Maybe even one of them is. I'm pretty sure. But the guys who get in there, one of them ended up busted open. What happened there? Someone got juice.
Case of the Immortals, man. He went Bret Hart style. He tucked the razor under his tongue. He's like, I'm shining tonight. I'm making the most of my moment. When he was down on the apron. Can I tell a Michael Tarver story real quick?
Please do, yeah.
years ago, 2013. Long before the days of Billy Corgan, there was a guy named Bruce Thorpe who was trying to make the NWA a thing, and they ran this show in San Antonio that was like at a community rec center, and they were co-promoting at the time. That's when Rob Conway was the champion, and they were working with New Japan. And so for this show in San Antonio at a community rec center that drew maybe 150 people, they flew over Gato, Tenzan, Watanabe, who would eventually become known as Evil, and a little-known wrestler, Jushin Thunder Liger. And I was like, well, I absolutely have to go to that. So I just drove down to the show by myself. The card wasn't really announced what it was, but I knew Liger was going to be there. To give you an insight, the type of show it was, you walk in and, it's like the fucking raffle ticket. Someone tears your ticket. Here you go. And then right over here, there's a woman with a big crock pot of chili and cheese and making Frito pies. And like, here you go, darling, that type of thing. So I went and sat down and just waited for Liger. And the match was Liger and Tenzan against Byron Wilcott, Big Daddy Yum Yum, famed wrestling merch gear maker, and Michael Tarver. And Big Daddy Yum Yum's thing was a shake weight was his weapon. And they go into the finish at the time, and Tenzan like takes out Michael Tarver, who was still wearing his Nexus shirt. So you know what kind of indie show you're working here. And then Big Daddy Yum Yum comes in and hits Liger with his shake weight that's supposed to be his weapon. And Liger, for a guy whose emotion can't change because of his mask, just stands up, and there's just this deadpan moment where like they don't say anything to each other, but you can tell that Liger's like, I'm not gonna fucking sell that. So he shotays him and pins him, and that's like the end of the match. So anytime Michael Tarver comes up, that's my memory. So sorry to steal the spotlight for a minute, but
because I think people don't realize that while the kind of big critical explosion of New Japan was happening, they would still bring like Conway or Tarver would still like make a date there every once in a while, and they'd do those title matches. Because who did Tenzan won the NWA title in that time, right? Because I remember they did a couple title changes. Yeah,
I think Conway was on one of like the early Wrestle Kingdoms, like defending the NWA title.
I wonder if they were like, if the audiences in Japan were aware of how ridiculous it was, or are they just NWA still carried enough weight for them to kind of believe it was a thing? I don't know. I'm interested.
Dude, Steve Corino talked about that when, like, in MLW or something, when he lost the NWA title to Hashimoto. He said like Hashimoto was like emotional and like just endlessly thanking him backstage, and he's like, there was 100 people here, dude.
That's actually awesome. I had no idea. That's good shit. Also, one last thing on this match. Great moment talking about the chair shots to the head. The first one, Show does this deal where he blocks it, and you can tell that Floyd hits him in a way. He doesn't really know how to swing it, but you can tell that as soon as Show feels it, he makes the decision like, he's not about to hurt me with this thing. Fuck it. He just gives him his head on two more.
Yeah.
It sounds like he gets cracked, but I guess he's 150 pounds, so I guess Show was kind of like, fuck it, they'll be fine. But that was a pretty cool deal. You could see Show almost figured it out for himself. But yeah, a lot here. Very good stuff. All right, that brings a close to Act 2. Bobby, you got any other hits, man? This is kind of your you got a lot of expertise on this front.
The Mania 17 hardcore match, obviously, excellent. The stretcher match with Brock, the match on SmackDown with Brock where they break the ring just for the ending is very good. There's a triple threat with him and Brock and Angle. I believe it was Vengeance 2003.
That's really good. Yeah,
money.
That's very good. Those are really the big ones. I like the Cena match from WrestleMania 20. Just if you've never seen it, it's a fun opener. Is it the opener? Yeah, it is. Okay, that's right. Those are really the big ones. There's like a couple other things in ECW that you might want to check out. Like nothing worth going out of your way, but like I think he has one match with Angle before Angle leaves. That's pretty good.
Some love for Show and Sabu here from SummerSlam, which is a thing that I didn't know happen, but it sounds incredible.
Is the stretcher match the one where Brock drives the forklift to the ring?
Yes.
Nice.
Any others come to mind, Alex, that you'd like to call out this time?
The Brock and Angle one. That's the one where Brock gives Big Show a running power bomb. It's one of the freakish feats of strength you'll see. Might be a sentimental attachment because I was there, but I wrote down Big Show, Cena, and Edge from WrestleMania 25. That's always the Triple H is full of shit match because he says the audience was dead after Shawn and Taker, but the audience is like rabid that whole triple threat match. So we talked about the grapple fuck match with Kane, which it's Backlash 06, I think, and like it's not a good match, but if you've never seen that, you need to watch it because it's like they're doing chain wrestling horribly, and the crowd is just like has no idea how to react to what's happening. And then also, this isn't necessarily just Big Show focused, but he is in the main event of Survivor Series 2001, the Alliance versus WWF, which is a really solid 10-man tag.
Yep.
And then one of the hidden gems to me of like traditional Survivor Series matches, Survivor Series 03, Team Lesnar versus Team Angle, where it's just like, it's just meat mountain basically, just a bunch of big dudes, and Big Show's got some really cool stuff in there. But I went to 2 WWE ECW house shows that he was the main event of both of them because RVD no-showed both of them. It was Big Show against Sabu in one, and then Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, and Sandman against Test, Big Show, and Bob Holly. So there you go. If someone's got a fan cam of that one, I know I'd like to see it. So he just at this point was just kind of and he could be a part of good stuff. It's just it was rarely he was in the driver's seat. This is like from this era, this Mayweather match is his crowning achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. The comeback onward is kind of his more consistent words. We're going to get into the next act, but when was Jericho?
09, I believe.
Were there any good matches from that time? Because I know that's after the comeback, so I'm assuming there must have been some good stuff, right? Or was it a case of just WWE tag team? I genuinely don't know the answer to this, to be clear, folks. Bobby, are you exploring cagematch.net?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
They faced Batista and Ray at Hell in a Cell 2009. I'm sure that's pretty good.
So there was Jericho. I only was familiar with Show Miz.
Oh no, brother! Jericho is about to be the top heel team in AEW in about a week.
It's true.
Did they have like a tag team theme where it was like, "We'll break the walls"?
Yeah, they did.
Oh hell
no,
yeah!
That's exactly what it was. Here we go. Oracle says that Jericho versus Ray and Batista is awesome. There you go. I actually might watch that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds very good, actually.
Alex, you need to hear this theme because you've literally that's exactly what it sounds like, and I'm not even doing a bit. That's incredible. All right, let's move to Act 3. Again, by far the most consistent decade of Show's career. It is unfortunate that a lot of the kind of fans fatigue with him. It comes back in the middle of the decade for sure, right? I mean, it really gets ugly around 2015. Even when he's doing good work, I know the match with Roman, whatever pay-per-view that is in 2015 is really good, but the crowd, the first half of it, they try and bleach retire the whole fucking. It's tough, man. It's a shame. Yeah. One thing I did want to quickly mention before we get into this, because it actually he cuts one before the first match we're doing here. Show became a really good promo at this point too, right? He was a guy who could really talk. He cuts a really good pre-match promo for this Vengeance match. So here we go. Let's get into it. Vengeance 2011. Show is opposite Mark Henry, who is in the midst of his, I think it's fair to say, kind of iconic Hall of Pain run, like a run that defined his career, right? It's a very special time for him. And he and Show combined for a really fun series of matches. The setup here is that Henry, he injured Show in some kind of way here, right? Took him out for 3 months. They were talking about on commentary. So let's get into it. This is, I mean, they get into like the bombs late and do their finishes and kickouts and stuff. But this is a really smart match and speaks to how far these dudes had come, right? Like, the way this thing's put together, this has got real polish. I mean, in some ways, I think the first act or two of it is like almost too polished for guys of this size. It's like, it's so proficient, the way Mark works his leg and such. Really, really strong match. Bobby, what did you make of Mark Henry and Big Show?
Yeah, again, like I didn't watch SmackDown at the time, so I didn't know like the whole story. I only watched Raw. So yeah, they're talking about how like Mark Henry broke Big Show's leg, and then he spends the first half of the match or whatever just working the leg. It's good stuff, man. And then obviously they transition into just kind of throwing these haymakers at each other, and the finish is very cool. I think it's cooler when him and Brock did it, but it's fine.
Damn it, man! Firstly, you hit me with the I just watched Raw thing, and then you do this. You do the Brock deal at this point. Do you have to take away from Mark Henry, Bob? Really? Is that necessary?
Sorry.
We can all agree on Mark Henry. That's not necessary, but okay.
We do. The Hall of Pain run was amazing, man. Like that. That I mean, it was ostensibly a squash match when he beat Orton. That match does
Great
not get
match.
enough love,
Yeah.
dude. It's amazing.
Yeah,
All
and
time great Orton appearance.
they tried
Go
so
on.
hard to get Mark Henry over for like the 10 years before that. It's nice that it finally worked out.
It's like it's
That's an
almost like, and
Go ahead, Joe.
and this is a hot take on Alex. So I apologize, but it's amazing what happens when you take a big guy and have him just fucking beat people. You know, like it's like I know
Funny how that works.
absolutely he figured stuff out, but if you watch him in like 06, you can see this guy's there.
Yeah.
It's just they just fucking make a mess of it, man. It's the same thing with Lashley, where it's like their narrative on Lashley was like he figured it out in like 2021. It's like no, TNA cracked the code with this 6 fucking years ago, guys. You just have to have these guys beat people.
Yeah,
You know, obviously different kinds of wrestlers, but both fucking freakish in terms of what they can do and their physical appearance. So, yeah, I don't know.
They brought Mark Henry in as, and this is like we're talking years before Vince got like really problematic with his booking. Like they brought him in as an Olympian weightlifter, and he's going 50-50 with Jerry Lawler. It's like what the fuck? It was an auspicious beginning, and then well, he's big, so we have to make him sex addicted.
what was you going to say before I went off on that rant? Anyway, Alex, my bad. What was you going to say, mate?
Oh, I don't. Probably something about the Young Bucks suck or something. I don't know. No, the Hall of Pain in that Orton match. I always remember like the Michael Cole kind of like getting fed the lines, like kind of fucking up the finish and completely. It's like when someone watches a movie and completely misunderstands it. Like the ending of that is Orton goes for the RKO and Mark Henry just doesn't go anywhere, and then like Randy Orton gets up and like it's like the Viper. Defiant, not admitting defeat. I'm like, well, no, if you're watching this, that's exactly what he's doing. He's admitting defeat right now, and he knows he's beaten, and Mark Henry beats him. But you're exactly right. Mark Henry was, it took him a while to get there. But because it's a great example of what we're doing right here. He was like their giant. They signed him and he didn't know shit. And they're just like, all right, go out there and learn in the ring. You're big, so that means, you got to be good. And he put it all together, and they finally presented him correctly. Like exactly like you said, he had this shit in the match that Oracle and I were, the one we did in 12 Bouts of Bill, where he wrestled Goldberg. It's like he knew how to do this shit in 2003. It's just like you can't have him lose consistently, because if someone loses all the time, people aren't going to take them seriously, if you can believe that. But this, this was like. This is the best run of his career, and it's genuine. It's one of the highlights of this period of WWE.
Absolutely. Oracle says, I like how they set up the ring collapse for a few big bumps, such as the top rope choke slam. That was an incredible spot on Henry. Good psychology. I like this one. The ring break is always a great finish. And let's look, we're also, we've watched so much wrestling that's like, they do the ring break finish. Brothers, the reaction to that finish is incredible here.
And something you got to keep in mind is that like at that point, a lot of people watching hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
It was before the network, and I remember Cornette once jokingly said the statute of limitation in wrestling is 7 years. Then you're free to repeat any angle that you want to. So, that you mentioned that choke slam. The crowd bought that, man, as the finish.
Sure.
It's this one, and then the next match we're going to get to. God, I kind of wish we could get this back where crowds bite on finishes, because crowds don't bite on finishes anymore, man.
I have a really weird thing with this like time. So before I go any further, I have no nostalgia this time. I wasn't watching real time. So this is not like it used to be better thing. But I had a similar experience watching when we did the Christian Randy Orton match from around this time for the same belt. There is like a sincerity to the way the crowd reacts to things that definitely feels like it's left wrestling in the 10 years that's followed. And let me be clear, I'm very much aware that wrestling today is almost certainly better than wrestling was in 2011. I can't confirm that because I wasn't watching, but I have no interest in revisiting it as a whole product. Let me be clear. But there's a genuine response to things like we were saying, like with the near falls, and a genuine excitement that is like, it does feel gone now. And it isn't just AEW have smarter crowds. That's different. But I don't think this exists in WWE anymore. I honestly don't. It feels different to me. I don't know.
Dude, the reaction when The Rock beats John Cena at WrestleMania 28 is one of the most genuine, like, crowds going nuts reactions you will ever see, because like it's one of those things of like having been there, I can tell you that they didn't think wrestling was real. It's just like they were invested in this story and they wanted to see this guy beat this guy. And when he beat him after this long, arduous journey, it was just like this moment of elation. And that's kind of like, dude, WrestleMania 28 is something I have nostalgia for, but you're exactly right. I watched all this shit. I watched Raw every week and I watched the pay-per-view. I didn't watch SmackDown. I wasn't going to bother with that. But at this time period, I was still watching it, and it was rough. And revisiting it, it makes it stick out even more. So we had main eventer Alberto Del Rio. Like, that's where we were in the WWE at the time. But you're right. And, like, just some of the things, and then the next match we'll get to, it's like they did the same shit right now. People just versus weird, like that type of thing. And for this match, one of the things I forgot to call out, I always loved, they showed the angle where he broke Show's leg, and that was at Money in the Bank 2011. And I don't know if anyone remembers, like, they do that and they're like taking Big Show out in the fucking stretcher, the golf cart or whatever, and the crowd's just chanting CM Punk the whole time. And they keep the camera on Big Show too long because right when he gets before the back, he stops selling. He goes, "What the fuck was that?" Like he gets mad about it.
It's tremendous.
But our buddy Oracle called it out. This match wasn't the main event, and Cena and Del Rio wrestle in the broken ring, and like I had to watch like the first half of it because I'm like, do they bump in this ring? And they really fucking do.
Wow.
So I, as someone who prides myself on thinking I know what goes on, I understand the magic. I have no idea how they pulled that shit off. That's Joe, you ever seen that ECW pay-per-view where Taz and Bam Bam broke the ring?
I've only seen that match. I'm aware of what they did, but I've not seen it. No.
That wasn't the main event either. And like Heyman sent guys out they wrap caution tape around that part of the ring, and then so guys just wrestle in the ring but avoid that turnbuckle.
Tremendous. One quick note that has nothing to do with the match but popped me was when Booker T was talking about I guess Mark Henry beat John Morrison on TV. Booker just forgot what his name was. Booker goes, when he beat the and he starts like, and they don't save him because it's popping them. You could tell like Cole's fucking delighted at this, and he goes, "The parkour kid." That was all he could register. Like, this dude's been in WWE for like 7 years, and all he wants to show to Booker was the parkour kid.
That's up there with Matt Riddle when he got in the Royal Rumble in 2020 and got immediately eliminated by Corbin, and Booker goes, "Man, you want to play around? That's what happens."
I also want to quickly mention the lockup, and we said a running lockup was fucking awesome. I know you guys pop it.
Yeah.
Like they charge in and lock up. It's great. Tremendous work here. Again, folks, this is not a classic match, but for two big guys, man, is this polished. This is a really, really strong match. I liked it a lot. The next match it's time. It's time to do it. We jump a year ahead. Hell in a Cell 2012. Sheamus has got the big gold. God, I missed the big gold. Even when it didn't mean shit, it's still the big fucking gold. Look at it, man. It looks great. Show is now a heel. He is in his camo singlet hoodie era.
Shoot fighter.
Factual. JBL and JR on commentary. JBL is insane on this call. At one point, he says the quote, "Like all Irishmen, he loves to fight. Like a Fit Finlay, like a Vince McMahon." And he says it without any comedy whatsoever. This is Joe kind of taps into here. The idea was that when Show turned heel and joined the Authority, he got an ironclad contract. He could do whatever he wanted, and he became a big old prick about it. And he is great here as a heel. Man, this match is special.
Bill, really they do special. The fucking Rocky IV shit where it's measuring like Big Show's punch, like on the Richter scale, or the fuking everything.
And there's one of the deals, right, is they say that everyone, because as of late, everyone he touches knocked out. And JBL has this line where he goes, "Sheamus played rugby. He's never been knocked out."
It's such a strange team. It's JBL, Cole, and Jim Ross, right?
Yeah, because this is when Lawler was after the heart attack, right? They called in those guys to. Oh,
that was already?
Yeah, so that happened in the summer.
Kid worked stiff, man.
Yeah, that's what I hear. They came back to kind of like hold it down, and I think JBL just stayed. I think was the deal. JR JR is quietly still JR here. Do you
Yeah,
guys
he's good
notice
in this.
that?
Yeah.
He's good in this.
Man, I knew this match was good. I've seen it before, and I know everyone remembers it fondly. First half, I was like, this is a good match. By the end of this match, I was like, this feels like Hidden Gem's too strong, but it feels like a truly classic WWE title match or WWE main event match, whatever you want to frame it, world title match, that it needs to come up more often. So I guess in that way it is underrated. But like, oh my God, man, this is special.
Yeah,
Really special.
I think understanding the time frame for this is really important too. And I know Joey said you weren't watching it this time either.
Right.
You said okay. Yeah. All right, man. Sheamus is obviously awesome and has become one of the most consistent wrestlers of his generation. This title reign was an abject failure and disaster. Like, he won it from Bryan and that really bad decision, and then he spent like 6 months wrestling Del Rio at every show, and like at no point did any of that deliver or move the needle at all. And then came to this, which was when he was finally going to lose. I mean, look, Sheamus was the guy Vince was going to turn Cena heel for. Like, Vince thought that Sheamus was going to be the face of the company, and he thought that was going to begin at WrestleMania 28, and it didn't. Like I said, this isn't Sheamus. None of this is Sheamus's fault, but he gets there, and this is when he loses it and goes out with this like unreal performance. But then after this is like Big Show, I think they have their rematch and then loses it to Del Rio immediately. So this belt was just like nothing for a while. And then Del Rio, he had it for like a fucking year or something. And no, then he traded it with Dolph. But like the whole point is like this match, I think can't even, if I could spit this out, my thought on this is it was a match that no one expected, and since then no one's accepted. Like, they haven't accepted how fucking great it was. And
that makes sense. Yeah,
it is like, it's what you said. This is a great World Wrestling Federation title match. Like it, and also like this was when really Cena was the only guy doing the kick out of finishes shit. Like, I know we had it last year, like a kind of version of that, but like these people care when like fucking Shamo kicks out of the first knockout punch. People are like, what? And
got a massive reaction. Yeah. And it's worth noting too, this does not have like a great deal of heat initially, right? Like, it's not like the crowd's rocking to begin with. Show goes into this long control segment, and he's like sort of clubs his way on top, and he's just beating Sheamus up, and he's getting all these red welts over his body, and it's like they do a real long stretch of heat. It takes a while, and eventually they start coming up for Sheamus. And he fires back, and Sheamus has these moments where he throws these like great body shots and shows real and little. I mean, it is just packed with drama. The reaction to that kick out you mentioned, Alex, was spectacular. Bob, what did you think of this one, mate?
Yeah, I loved it. I didn't really remember it. I almost certainly saw it live because I watched pay-per-views. I wasn't watching SmackDown, but it was cool to. But yeah, it really stuck out to me. I'm glad we picked this one because just the way it's laid out, just they're throwing everything at each other, and it hits, man. It's good stuff. It's a great title match.
It really is. I also have to call out the reaction to when Show does his own like Vader bomb, which is like an insane reaction. Like, as soon as he gets out in the middle, the place fucking roars. It's like in terror as to what this is going to be. Man, there's so much here. What about the reaction on the white noise kick out? I mean, good Lord, they bit that completely. Sheamus' comeback only comes when he uses the ring post too. He pins him against the post and just kicks the shit out. I mean, so much here. Yeah, I mean, this is very special. Alex, you got anything else on this one, mate? This was something else.
Yeah, like I went through like a gamut of emotions because I've seen this a few times. It is on Blu-ray on the WWE Best of 2012 collection, but and it was kind of like I remember it being great, but then it started, and I was kind of rolling my eyes at like Shoot Fighter Big Show coming out with like his hoodie, and then like plucky babyface Sheamus. But there's this great intensity when like they just like lock eyes, and Sheamus comes out first, and he doesn't break eye contact with Big Show, or he doesn't like break his stride the whole time he's watching him come to the ring, and that's great. Sheamus gets a mixed reaction coming out, and but yeah, by the white noise when he gets him up, the crowd's wanting him to win so bad. Someone called it out in the chat. The idea now of a match being built around who's going to hit their finisher first would be so fucking foreign. Like
Yeah.
the most protected finish in like the past few years was Corbin's finish, and that's out the window now. But just the idea of like, yeah, they still do that with Randy Orton. Like if he hits the RKO, it's over. But like this whole thing and it's so simple, Big Show goes for his finish. Sheamus ducks, hits the bro kick, not enough. And then from Sheamus's perspective, like that's what it should be. Your finisher should be your finisher. So it didn't work one time, so I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it again, and that's going to beat you this time. And then the ending is just magic, because like the way Big Show gets out of the way and perfectly timed with the punch he lands, and then Sheamus's selling is awesome because he just stays dead. Like he stays in that position until like the refs and the doctors get out there and to help him up. And yeah, you put it well, Joe. It's like you don't know what label you want to put on it, because wrestling fans are so hyperbolic and so like eager to coin a phrase,
Right.
but it's like like I said, in my opinion, it feels like someone didn't expect this and didn't want to accept it after the fact, because it's like, this isn't CM Punk and this isn't Daniel Bryan. This isn't the guys we want, and they're out there having this fucking phenomenal match. But this, if you've never seen this, like, it's a match that it has like blown me away no less than 3 times. Like each time I watch it, I'm like, holy shit, man. So
I mean,
top shelf.
We don't rank the matches at the end of this anymore, because I as we kind of go with the process, I thought it was way we talk about it is the most important thing. I didn't want to kind of make it a gimmick at the end of the show, but it's worth noting that like Daylight is second on this deal, right? Like I had fun with almost all of these. This is by far his best match, I think.
Yeah.
This is, to me anyway, and again, I hate to do the what if thing because he had a great career, but this is like a glance at who he could have been in a different setting, because it's like raw ingredients. It's so simple. So many of these matches have so much gloss and so much other stuff that only muddies it. It's like here you have a simple story of a giant who's seemingly unbeatable, and he's fighting a ferocious babyface who's just valiant. And it's like, yeah, man, it works perfectly. It gets this crowd rocking by the end of it. The biggest compliment I can give the match is I knew Show went over, and when he hit the bro kick, I was like, fuck, maybe it's a different show. Like that's how good it was, man. Like it made me buy on a finish I fully knew wasn't the finish. And then the finish itself is great. Obviously, Oracle here says, Big Show Sheamus is exceptional. Paced so well in the near falls and mapped out wonderfully. Sheamus kicking out of the KO punch was legit shocking at the time. The second KO punch for the finish is one of the best endings to a match I've seen. Show has tons of confidence in the ring at this time. He can bump big, but knows when to do it. Great work around. Yeah, he's really in a sweet spot here in terms of getting it and understanding what he should be doing, and physically being able to do it still. Which obviously, look, inevitably that left him before long. I'd say the Braun match is kind of his last stand on that front as this version of Show. Oracle also said, I'm out of myself as a loser because I watched SmackDown a ton and be mad when I missed it. It was always looked at as the better show, arguably, even this late. You're the winner here, Oracle.
A winner is you.
We'll go down on that shit, brother. Raw only, it's despicable. I can't co-sign it, fellas. I'm sorry. Can't do it. Yeah, incredible match. Great time for that. So again, just to reiterate, folks, you got to seek it out. It's special. Sheamus and the Big Show, Hell in a Cell 2012. All right.
Also, that show popped a buy rate, so swelled audience for that one, because that was the one where they pulled the trigger way early on Ryback, because the main event is Ryback and Punk, and they booked themselves into a corner there, and
Punk liked those matches, right?
Yeah. So much so that he had another Hell in a Cell match with them next. He had every right to be mad, but.
Oh, that was when he wrestled him he was a heel then later, wasn't he, Ryback? Because he was with Paul Lee for the second match.
And the gimmick in the gimmick in the second match was like Ryback and Heyman were supposed to ride like a fucking like a scaffold lift down the ramp, and it wouldn't start, and like you can just hear Punk on the live broadcast go, "You got to be fucking kidding me!"
So what is that like? Months before he leaves the second one. The second.
Punk had that all-time like top 25 WWF match ever with Brock at SummerSlam 2013, and then had just bad program after bad program and then said, I'll see you later.
You know, Alex, one day we're going to have to do a show where you give me your top 25 WWF matches of all time because I'm intrigued by it. That was very... I feel you played it safe with that estimation. It has to be higher than that match is fucking incredible, isn't it? Good Lord.
Oh, that's one of those matches that, like, every time I watch it, I'm renewed with my love of professional wrestling.
So
Specifically,
good,
the part where when Brock finally takes the go to sleep and just the way the crowd reacts, I'm just like,
when he did it recently with Kevin, but when Paulie does his spot with Punk, when he does the like shitty punches to the back,
yeah.
Oh, it's just one of the great matches, man. I'm personally really looking forward to their rematch at All Out 2023 too. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. Nonetheless, other matches to call out from the 2010s for show. All the stuff with Braun is admirable. A truly remarkable effort from the big man. Really deserves a lot of respect. The Roman match from that 2015 was Extreme Rules, Bob. Do you know what show it was?
I believe it was Extreme Rules, yes.
That one's good. Trying to think of other ones that come up. Anything come up, fellas, in the 2010s for you guys you'd like all that?
God, there's been a couple joke posts I've seen so far. Oracle was one of them about the 2015 Rumble match, and it's too soon to joke about that. All right, guys.
Extreme Rules 2015 it was. There you go.
He's in the Survivor Series 2014 main event as part of Team Cena and then part of Team Authority.
That's in my top 10, Alex, on that. Whenever we do that list, I got to work that in there, bro. That's incredible.
It's great.
No, the Braun matches and like, what do we have with Big Show in the 2010s? He was a monster, and then he was funny. Like this match we just did with fucking Sheamus. He started 2012 as a plucky baby face coming out and like slapping high fives, and then he started, I think, after he lost to Del Rio to the belt, he became a baby face again, and then they paired Daniel Bryan with him when they wanted the crowd to cool off on him, and they gave Big Show the yes chant. And I was at one of the house shows when they were doing that in Dallas, and like it was the strangest thing I've ever seen because like the crowd knew what they were doing. And I'm not just talking like fucking jaded smarks like me, like little kids understood what they were doing and like were not reacting to the Big Show at all. But then when Bryan came out, it was all about it. He had I'm sorry. No, I'm just like burying the guy now. You asked me if I had any recommendations.
Oracle says they're a fun show Bryan match in early 2012, but none are great. I do want to quickly mention this. Yes. Big Show, Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe as trios. Incredible piece of business for the two matches we got. Very, very fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. That was when Paulie had the book on Raw.
Was that like pandemic shit?
Like right before.
Just when Seth was put with AOP and Buddy. And then they did that angle. Okay. You may have seen that angle they did with Joe, like a legitimately great angle with Joe where he was on commentary.
Yes.
Great angle. And they were like, we have backup, and it was the Big Show.
Yeah.
Which rules. So, yeah. I mean, I think, in fairness, the best way to start this decade for show would actually be if you see him on one of the TV shows in a match of like any kind of length or subs, it's probably pretty good. Like he's genuinely good throughout this time. That doesn't necessarily mean there are a lot of classics. That's not really the archetype wrestler he's trying to be. He's a fucking giant, right? Is what he is. But he's very consistent in this time, even if there's not many matches that are like, oh my God, you have to see it necessarily. And yes, he did close Mania 6, which is an incredible piece of business. Was that his last match?
I think he faced Randy a couple weeks after that.
Because that was when Orton was doing the Legends Killer deal again, right? Yeah. Oracle says he has lots of fun, good TV matches, but nothing stands out as a classic or anything. In some ways, he's a guy who has good singular performances, but not a ton of great matches. Yeah, absolutely fair. All right, let's put a bow on the Big Show Paul Wight. Let's wrap it up, Bobby. Final thoughts, legacy of one giant, Paul Wight, the Big Show, whatever you want to call him.
Honestly, he might be like one of the best big men to ever, wrestle. He's had a 25-year career, which is insane. Up until I think it was, because he did have a match last year, didn't he? Had a couple on Dark Elevation, or was that 2021? Whatever. He's had matches pretty consistently for 25 years, which is incredible. It seems like he's gearing up for some sort of comeback.
That's the strength of the Grin Grappler.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just kind of watching the matches we pick, like you see him progressively get better, and yeah, he's an all timer, man.
He's a really fun guy to talk, like, legitimately. And I do hope that if some hardcore Big Show fan who's been starved of content in recent times came across this, I really do enjoy him. You know, so it's hard to talk about him without veering into the kind of like lulls of his career, whether they were his fault or not. It's just part of his story, man. It is what it is. But Alex, what's your kind of concluding thoughts on show?
I'm glad y'all were positive, because now I'm gonna have to bring
Yeah.
it down a notch.
Fair.
Now, anything I could say about him is what I'm about to say is not necessarily reflective on him, other than
Right.
his ability to not say no to something. But like, to me, the Big Show, Paul Wight, is probably more than any other wrestler in history the embodiment of everything Vince McMahon sucks at about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, toilet humor. He's a giant, so he should win all the time, but he's also a big guy, so we should make him look like an idiot and we point and laugh at him. He should cry on TV. You know, I should be able to heat him up at any point in time to make people take him seriously. You know,
Mhm.
we're talking like, this is a guy who's like dancing on Raw in a diaper, and then was supposed to be like the guy who he wasn't supposed to be. He was the guy that came out and wiped that 2015 Rumble. He wiped out like Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, Bray Wyatt, all their guys they had built up the previous year, and was supposed to be like Roman's big threat. And again, this is through no fault of his specifically, but this is just kind of like, to me, what his legacy will be is that he, just that, like, everything Vince McMahon was bad at, you could see through this guy's run in the WWE. From the perspective of a wrestler, started, you know, with next to no, you know, here's how you lock up, brother, and this is how you lay down, this is how I pin you, dude. And then, you know, he went to having this match with Sheamus that we talked about, that is a fundamentally incredible match. I just think his legacy is, it kind of sucks in that regard, that it, like,
Yeah.
he won't be, to me at least, he should be remembered as someone who kind of came in an era that wasn't welcoming to his particular kind, the giant thing, that type of thing. And then he was able to stretch it out for this long, but at the same time was part of a lot of really, really bad shit that like defined eras of bad shit. And, you know, like I said, that god awful main event with Randy Orton at Survivor Series 2013. Again, these are things that aren't his fault, but those are the types of things that, you know, people kind of remember in the end. So,
Right.
I guess the nicest way I can say it, a complicated legacy of his, but to me, like, going through this and thinking about what he should always be, his defining thing should always be that Mayweather match. That should be the thing where he was the guy that could be trusted to defend the business, brother, and the company, and, you know, real faith could be put in him as a performer.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. I mean, I always have a soft spot for him because I think he was just very capable. And I thought he did a remarkable job of working around the era's limitations more than his own, honestly. You know, in terms of filling the roles that he should have never had to fill, showing versatility that honestly he never should have had to show. He always did it to the best of his ability, especially in that kind of, you know, last act of his career, last decade of his career, whatever it's been. And for me, I think my like lasting memory of him as a wrestler in a weird way, I think, is the Strowman matches. I think, like, look, everyone's done bits with Strowman, and obviously Bob's a big fan, and I get it, but like, legitimately, Braun has become like, he knows what he's doing at this point. You know, like, he's never going to be, you know, Kenny Omega or whatever, but he knows. When Big Show wrestled Braun, man, he was a lump of clay, and the only dude who could do shit with him was Roman. Show, not only did he do it once, he came back like 2 or 3 times to do that shit and make sure that Braun had like real stature and credibility. And I think that sums up who he was as a wrestler. Honestly, we don't know the man, but everything you understood of him, he seems like he was far too selfless to be a giant. And he put up a lot of shit creatively. But yeah.
I meant to recommend it. One of the things I did mean to recommend from this era, and because you reminded me of it, because it speaks to your point, the Broken Skull sessions, or whatever he called the Steve Austin show, whatever he did, is an excellent, like, he's awesome on that, and
He
like
is.
really has a great mind for it all. And it has that part where Steve asks him about Strowman. He's like, "Is he good?" And he's like, "He'll get there."
Also, Willie commented this nearly 2 hours ago. Is worth knowing that Show was the star of the Big Show show, which I once reviewed on a different platform. It's quite the deal. I remember nothing from that show, but I'm convinced it was bad. But we'll just say it was good for
was that the Netflix one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Rikishi getting a cameo in there, which I respect. But nonetheless,
that's one of the things we haven't called out. That's Paul Wight is in that category of like Nash and a few of those other, like the smart guys. Mark Henry's one too, who makes sure to have an acting credit every year so he can stay active with SAG's insurance. So he clearly has a head on his shoulders, just too selfless, like you said.
He's also what is the game that he plays, Bob? What's the game that he's part of, like the celebrity field in? Is it like Dungeons and this is not me trying to be a dick. I genuinely don't know these games. So I'm very bad on this.
That's a good question. Let me look. Yeah, it is Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. He plays like he's involved in like celebrity games. I remember talking about playing with like Vince Vaughn. There's an incredible photo of him with a handful of celebrities they play. So very cool dude. Awesome. Nothing else. I also have a closing pitch. Show. If you do want to come back, Paul, if you do want to come back, we got a guy for you. Scrappy guy. Maybe you could recreate some of that Sheamus energy with. Not quite built like Sheamus, but I think it could work. Now honorable, the Mad King Eddie Kingston. Let's run it. Let's see what happens. Let's give him 6. If they're feeling it, we'll give him 10.
There we go.
We can run it on a house show if you really want. I feel that's a bad idea, but we try it. I'm open to ideas on this. I would like to see. I feel like Eddie could come up with a match more than simple enough that Show could like pull it off legitimately at this point in his life.
Oh yeah.
If anyone could, I think that would be the matchup. So maybe I know he wants to come back, so hopefully he has a nice kind of close to his career. It'd be cool for him. All right, there you go. The Big Show, Paul Wight. Okay, this is now. Next month will be the first time we repeat a month, March. Last year, of course, we did Samoa Joe to kick off the show. I think we did a pretty good job with, I feel like we should take credit for changing Joe's career around, man. Like he's the king of television now. I don't know if you heard about this, Alex. He's a real thing again. Now I have kept 3 of the names from last year's. We used to do polls, and then Bob stopped those because he got very mad. I've kept 3 of the names, the other 3 names other than Joe, and I've added 1. So here's who we got, folks. We've got 4 names here. Oracle, if you're in the chat, feel free to put your take forward on this. We have Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. We have Confirmed Shoot's favorite, Kenta, all caps. We have the man called Sting. And we have Booker T. Now, very different candidates there, it goes without saying. All interesting shows. Bobby, where do you lean, pal?
I got to step out real quick so y'all contemplate and I'll work on my thought.
Yeah, I originally thought, I don't know, it's tough because, they are like 4 very different. Because like Booker would be cool, but it might be kind of tough to fill some of the later years.
Matches, yeah. I don't even know what the matches would be in the early years necessarily.
Yeah. Sting, I think, has just been talked about so much at this point, but there's a lot you could do there.
Chat's feeling Sting, it looks like.
We could do Sting. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, it'd be very easy to find matches. And I think there's some stuff in TNA that people might not necessarily know about.
If we did Kenta, would we do like a Fed section? I guess we would, right?
He's got a handful of good, 205 matches and NXT
we could do it.
Matches, yeah.
I like the Bobby Roode match.
Yeah.
Matt said it's clearly Kenta against.
Kenta's fine too. I
love that Matt's picture is his graphic. I think Sting. I mean, we've not even talked about Hennig. Do we have any interest in that? Oracle says Sting pops me. Hennig would be very interesting. All of Kenta's stuff would be good, but the match lengths. ... Well, that's fair.
He's got a point.
Okay, what would our axe be for Sting?
Just Surfer Crow Joker.
Joker? You really sure about that, Chief?
I think there's good stuff in TNA, man.
But as the Joker specifically?
Well, no. I mean, that'd probably just be TNA in general.
Yeah, I guess you'd do. I guess you do that. I guess you do early WCW, Crow WCW, and then you do TNA, I guess.
Yeah, because the problem with doing AEW is we've basically talked about all those matches already.
Yeah, we've covered it too closely. Same thing we did with whoever that was recently that we did something similar for Dustin, right? Or something.
Yes.
Yeah, we only did the Cody match before the Grin existed. Alex, where are you leaning on this? It seems the chat seems to be into Sting, which doesn't surprise me. But do you have any preference?
I mean, to spite shoot, I would say Kenta, but like Sting's gonna be the easiest one to make. So here's my thing. I would choose Kurt Hennig because I think that's interesting. But the problem is the first act would have to include that Broadway with Nick Bockwinkel, and I know fucking Bobby's not watching an hour-long match.
Yeah.
So Sting, yeah, I think I came in right at the end there. We could do Surfer, Crow, and then TNA, I think would be the breakdown.
Okay. So the thing with Sting is, I think you're right to say it, Bob, but he has been discussed in, like, obviously an insane amount. So it's not like we'll be covering any new ground, but ultimately it's fucking Sting, right?
Yes.
I mean, Sting's such a fun wrestler to watch and talk about.
So in that vein, my suggestion would be that we can take this offline, as we say in the business world, but propose some kind of lesser known matches and not like, go for fucking Steiners and Sting and Luger or Sting and Hogan.
Probably the best way to do it would be for each act, we'll do like one famous and one kind of more obscure, to kind of have like a nice balance. We'll figure it out, folks. So Sting is up next. We're going full circle. We're back to March. Actually, like the thing is, because we do this monthly, that has genuinely gone quick. But then when I think back to where we were and where wrestling was March 2022, it's like, well, I guess not. I guess it's been a lot of change, right? Fair to say. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Okay, there you go, folks. Right. Let's do some plugs and we'll get out of here. Bobby, anything to promote, mate? Anything to push?
I don't think so. I'm back on the flagship this week. Fired up for Ring of Honor. Big Ring of Honor guy now again.
Again.
See how it goes this time. Hopefully a little better. But yeah, excited for that. I assume we'll talk about Revolution and stuff as well. Fed Dad is back Sunday. Believe we might be early again because there's a Revolution is on Sunday night, so we got to figure that out. But yeah, we'll be around for that.
Mm-hmm. Tremendous. Yeah, I think Thursday's show is probably going to be a Ring of Honor review. When I say review, it's not going to be like match by match, because I don't know if you've seen some of the matches, the book by not happening. Yeah. But, it'll be a victory. Like, even if the show's not actually that good, I'm going to pretend it is for sake of conversation. So that'll be Thursday, and then we'll do a Revolution preview. So Thursday's going to be pretty stacked this week. Alex, the Contrarians, what's happening on that front, mate?
What is happening? We've been doing a lot. We got a Patron project coming up that I'm excited about, but recently we talked about the Mutations from 1974, Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon from 2007. We are thecontrarians.com, at Contrarian Prime on Twitter. We got our YouTube page, youtube.com/@ContrarianPrime. Got that going too. As always, some shit going on. If you are in the Central Texas area, come out to the Colt Classic convention this weekend. I will be running Alex's Combat Sports and Movie Memorabilia booth, and so you can come and I got a shit ton of old ROH DVDs and movie posters and all kinds of crazy shit to sell, so check it out.
Look, man, if you wanted to, you could have just asked, yes, we'll give you a signed Bob O'Neill shirt. Okay, fine.
But if he's closer, I'd bring him in for photo ops.
Host of the 31 with Robert O'Neill.
Yeah, like James Remar is going to be there and a few other people. Like, the guy who played like Jason and Freddy vs. Jason's going to be there in full costume. So like, I'm just imagining Bob like sitting right next to him with the hat on, just like, yeah. I'll be posting updates on my Twitter from that. But yeah, we are thecontrarians.com, at Contrarian Prime. Check it out. As always, an overwhelming pleasure to be here. This is part of my month that I look forward to. So thank you for having me once again.
Absolutely. Always our pleasure. All right, folks. Tomorrow I'll be back on this very platform with Manny the Hooper. We're going to do our very last Dynamite Grin Along. Hopefully we get at least a Sting pop, but ideally we get the FTR pop to close it out. Need to get the boys back on TV so we can stop doing the podcast bit every day. It's very frustrating. So that's tomorrow, Thursday, the Jay Shill and Joe show on Twitch, and then flagship, as I said earlier. So much going on here. Many grins ahead. We hope you enjoyed this. Look back at the Big Show Paul Wight, who we will see on Sunday Night Revolution, knocking out Ricky Starks with a single right hand. We anticipate that. I don't know if we're going to be looking forward to it, but we're certainly expecting it at this point, perhaps. We'll cross that bridge we get to. Thanks, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Keep grinning. All hell. Enjoy this outro.